Hi everybody, I'm the Idea Maker, and today I am going to be giving you my non-spoiler review on the one and only Marvel Studios' Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, I'm telling you, I'm going to at least give this first. So, when I walked into this movie, I actually thought about a couple of things. The last Marvel Studios movie I saw in the MCU was Spider-Man Far From Home in the theaters. The rest of them I saw at home because of COVID, and also I was watching them with friends. But now, I was wanting to watch this one because of a couple of reasons. One, because of that reason. Two, because I've never seen an X-Men movie in the theaters. I watched all of them on streaming during COVID. Three, this is the first Wolverine movie I've ever seen. 4, first Deadpool movie I've ever seen. And in all honesty, I got so much to say about this movie, but I have to dial it down and back it up because of the fact that at this point, I wanted to be more of a review where I could just be able to talk about how much I loved Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, there are a few things I didn't like, but it's nothing about the plot. It's nothing about the acting. It was a really good movie. I actually really liked it. So I'm gonna be fair on that to say I loved the movie. In terms of the plot, it actually made sense. In a way, let me just put it like this. I know that there's some people that they're asking, is it possible to have seen Loki to kind of get this one because of the TVA? Did you have to see any of the X-Men movies? Did you have to see any of the other Fox Legacy movies in case if they were brought up? Let me just put it to you a fair answer. You can kind of say yes to every single one of those questions, but in a way they kind of do it to a point where it makes sense if you have not seen it. I know that director Sean Levy said that you kind of really didn't have to do that much homework and everything, but to me personally, I felt like you did. If you want to really, really appreciate this movie, I feel like you would have had to watch those movies. I'm talking about like the Fox Universe movies, even movies that you wouldn't have thought that you would have had to see that they were made outside the MCU before it was made. Which I'm not going to get into which ones, but I think you probably might have an idea about what it might be. But honestly, Deadpool and Wolverine did a lot of things that I was not expecting. I was not expecting for the story to be that grounded in a lot of sense. And I feel like with this story, I feel like in a way, it kind of feels like a separation of the MCU from the MCU, but I also feel like it kind of ties right into it. It's a little weird situation, but I kind of feel like it's kind of an integral part of the MCU, and it kind of makes it feel like it's a weird end on what's going to happen with Deadpool and Wolverine, because that in a way it's kind of hard to talk about it without doing a non-spoiler review in all sense. But I know that Kevin Feige has plans for Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman playing Deadpool and Wolverine in the future of the MCU. So I'm excited to see what we got in store. And because today is the panel for Marvel Studios, I'm currently really, really excited to get into the news of what's really going to be happening about Deadpool and Wolverine, what's going to be happening with the MCU, what we're going to be getting. And I'm going to kind of get into another video about that when the news of the Marvel Studios panel drops, but I'm going to most likely get it to sometime next week. Mostly because I got a lot of stuff that I got to attend to next week, but I want to do this because I feel like this is important to try to talk about and get to. But in all sense, I feel like this movie would have worked as a PG-13 movie and as an R-rated movie. In a sense, I would have wanted it to be PG-13 because I'm not into all the blood and guts and gore and the swearing and all that stuff. I'm not really into it. So that made me feel uncomfortable to a point, but it also made me realize, okay, you're going to have to kind of deal with it because, it's Deadpool. Of course, he's going to have, the inappropriate references, the swearing. It made me feel like if I was watching a Deadpool movie, which that's what you're supposed to feel. And I like that that's what it felt like, but it also felt like a Wolverine movie as well. And not only did this movie feel like if it was a Marvel movie inside of the MCU made by Disney and Marvel Studios, But to me, it also felt like a movie that it felt like if 20th Century Fox was back and that they made it too. It felt like a joint production. And even in the credits, it does say that 20th Century Studios did help make this movie, and that it was that they were involved in it with it. But I also feel like that's where I probably felt like it was a little bit of both. Now, when it came to seeing Deadpool and Wolverine, I felt like I was watching something amazing between the two, because they had this dynamic chemistry that I would like to put it saying that it felt like I was watching a classic comedy duo of Laurel and Hardy or Abbott and Costello, but except volumized to a crazed 100, where they just keep fighting each other and just trying to take a punch at each other and trying to really let loose. When it came to the fighting, it was just insane. The amount of duality that you had between Wolverine's seriousness and gruff exterior compared to Deadpool's outgoing, outlandish, extreme personality and persona that he has and characteristics that he embodies. And what I really liked about Deadpool and Wolverine was the fact that it really, really felt, in my opinion, that it really felt as if they were comic book lovers that was really making a movie that felt like it was for the fans. And that's what I really, really enjoyed about it. I also feel like with the cameos, I'm not going to say who's in it because I don't want to spoil nothing for you guys. The cameos are not a one-off, in my opinion. The cameos, you can kind of consider them being a one-off, but I actually really enjoyed it. Some of the cameos are there for a little bit longer than you would be expecting. And some of them, at least like maybe 90% of them, felt like an integral part of the story to some degree. And that's what I really liked about it. It wasn't feeling like Multiverse of Madness type of thing where, they didn't give the Illuminati the chance to fight with each other. If you know what I'm talking about, if you've seen it, you'll know. But as I mentioned before, I am going to be revisiting the whole entire MCU as a whole and making the journey of going through the movies and through the shows. And so that way I would not only have the idea of knowing what's going on, but I also want to bring the importance of having these references known, especially when it comes to Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars when they come out in 2026 and 2027, unless if later on in the day they decide to change the Kang Dynasty title to something else, and if they decide to push these movies to a later date, or they decide to split Secret Wars into 2 parts. Who knows what they're going to do over at Marvel Studios' panel today at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But, we'll see what happens when Kevin Feige comes out and announces all this, especially because we got a brand new slate of stuff that I know that we're going to be getting, and they'll be most likely be talking about the movies. I wouldn't suggest the shows because that's probably going to be a D23 thing, unless if they do surprise us and they give us some details about some of the shows. But anyways, segueing it back to Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, the Deadpool trilogy has had 3 different directors. You had Tim Miller, David Leitch, and Sean Levy. And honestly, I kind of grown more to this one because I've known director Sean Levy's movies, especially from Night at the Museum. And I didn't even realize that was him. And I thought, wow, this guy has come a long way in making these movies, because we had him doing Night at the Museum. I think he did Cheaper by the Dozen with Steve Martin, if I'm correct. But, this guy has come a long, long way to now making a superhero movie for Marvel Studios, which is insane to think that, somebody's taking this journey to making a very, very successful superhero movie, especially with not only bringing back Deadpool, which we have not seen since 2018, and Wolverine, since we have not seen him, which we have not seen him since 2017. But we brought back Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, which is insane. And the cameos that they bring back will blow your mind, like absolutely blow your mind. I wish I can get to the discussing about it right now, but I can't because of the fact that it's a spoiler and I don't want to spoil nothing about it. I do want to say the ones that we've seen, I mean, if you've seen the final trailer, okay, they already spoiled X-23, and I thought that she was an integral part of the story in some manner, and she's been there a little bit longer than you would be expecting, and I did like that she was in that part of it, being an important part to Wolverine's side of this movie. Now, did I feel like it was a Deadpool and Wolverine movie, or did I just feel like it was more leaning towards Deadpool? See, this is where it's going to get a little bit interesting because I do feel like it was more of like a Deadpool movie, but I also feel like it was like a movie where you had a dual, like two main characters that they had shown their light and they had the spotlight on them for the whole entire time. And to be honest, it felt right. It really felt like a movie that was done right, especially with balancing out the two. It felt like a movie made by Disney, which is weird to say despite its R rating, but it also felt like a Deadpool movie and it felt like an X-Men movie. No joke. And the cameos that they brought back, the callbacks that they brought back were cleverly done to the point that I feel like this movie is more of like a comic book movie than anything. And it's the most comic book movie I've ever seen when it comes to bringing the elements in. And especially it stayed so true to the characters that I definitely feel like they took the right path into what they were doing. Now, of course, when I do my revisited reaction / non-spoiler review / discussion, of course, you know, the jokes, the inappropriate jokes are not going to be in it. The swearing's not going to be in it. The violence is going to be blurred, and the blood's going to be blurred, of course. And it's going to be edited, of course. But I do want to get into some stuff that I felt like, to me, was a little bit of an overkill. Now, to me, I felt like the blood that was used in this movie was overkill. Mostly because I knew that there was blood present in Deadpool and in Deadpool 2, but this one, I felt like they went up a notch, but I felt like it was a little bit overkill and that it was a little too excessive. Now, I know that some people will say it's just the right amount, but to me, I'm not a person that enjoys blood, and I'm not a person that enjoys violent sequences a lot. I don't enjoy it. Sometimes it can be done and stylized very, very well. You'll see that when it comes to certain scenes within the movie, especially the opening, which was hilarious. I died laughing. I laughed out loud so much during that one that I was, crying of laughter. And when I watched one of the fight sequences, it was huge to the point that I felt like I was watching a great action sequence from a comic book. You'll see what I mean about that statement when you go see Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, of course, I know this movie's rated R, so I know it was made by Disney and I know it was made by Marvel Studios. I do not recommend taking your young kids to see this movie because, of course, it's the violence, the blood, the swearing, the references that they make in this one are very, very adult. I would not recommend kids seeing this. And it was crazy because when I went to go to the theaters to go see it, there were some parents that had their kids there. And I was like, you sure you want to bring your kids to this movie? Like Deadpool and Wolverine, you sure you want to bring them to this one? There's some unexpected stuff in this one too. Unexpected references, unexpected cameos, unexpected plot elements. There's a lot of unexpected stuff in here. And that's what I really like about this movie is that they went for the unexpected. And I really loved that they went and they didn't make it that obvious. It wasn't a movie that it felt like it was an obvious plot point, but it was a movie that it felt right as a comic book movie and it felt right as a Marvel Cinematic Universe entry. And I really enjoyed the fact that we got a Deadpool and Wolverine team up and that it was, of course, Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, that they teamed up with each other. They brought and delivered this amazing movie. And I'm going to admit, one of the fights made me laugh so hard that it's set to a specific song. It's shown a little bit in the trailer when Deadpool's being tossed out of that minivan. This fight made me laugh so hard, especially for the song that they used for the fight scene is laugh out loud hilarious. I couldn't help myself laughing at it because the song choice was so random, but at the same time it felt right. That's the craziest thing. And I gotta admit one thing, the soundtrack to this movie is so good. It honestly beats the first one, and it beats the second one narrowly. And this movie had a little bit of everything, and that's what I loved about it. Two was that the script itself had a little bit of everything. It was written by some of the original screenwriters for Deadpool and Deadpool 2, including Ryan Reynolds himself. It also included one of the writers from, I think it was What If? And I loved how this movie worked when it came to the multiverse. When it came to the multiverse aspects of the movie, when it came to the character development, when it came to understanding certain different things about Deadpool, about Wolverine, about the cameos, and there's a lot of great jokes about who they brought on. And I can't go into it because this is a non-spoiler review, but when the revisited reaction / non-spoiler review / spoiler review / discussion comes, I'll definitely be getting into that. And let me just say, the cameos that they have, it will make, if you have not seen the movies that they belong to, it will make you want to go and watch those movies before rewatching it again. I'm not kidding. It's making me want to go see it. And I'm going to see before rewatching Deadpool and Wolverine for the revisited reaction. Now, I think the violence was a little extreme. Well, it was more extreme than I was expecting. The blood was a little bit more than expected. Some of the jokes were like, oh, wow. Like, you really, really went there. That's the same reaction that I had with Deadpool 2 when I first saw it. The way they did this movie was just beyond me, and I'm still flabbergasted at the fact that they made a movie that it's rated R inside the MCU, and it was made by Disney, and it was made by Marvel Studios, and it's just beyond me on how this happened. It's really beyond me, because I remember when Echo came out earlier this year, and between that, which was January 2024, and Deadpool and Wolverine, which came out yesterday, well, Thursday, or Monday if you want to consider the premiere, or Tuesday if you want to consider the premiere, this really felt like a step forward into making newer movies with newer characters that you were not expecting. And honestly, I'm very surprised that we went in this direction, but I'm not disappointed. There's several jokes that didn't stay with me because of a couple of reasons, and which I don't really want to get into now until later. But I really liked the movie overall. It did have a couple of flaws, but it didn't it didn't hurt the movie for me. It made me realize more about the character, on who Deadpool is, and what more I have to know about these characters before, going and judging them, saying like, I really don't like this character for this reason and for that reason. And but I do feel like Ryan Reynolds played Deadpool so well, and I really love how he plays his character. And same thing with Hugh Jackman. And honestly, one of the main reason I actually wanted to watch this movie honestly wasn't for Deadpool. I'll be honest, it was more for Wolverine, because again, I've never seen an X-Men movie in the theaters. The closest that I've been to with seeing an X-Men movie in the theaters was Days of Future Past back in 2014. And I was so close to seeing it with my family, but we did not go and see it. I saw it on streaming later on Disney Plus, but still, it was one of those things where I was like, okay, I know I'm going to have to watch this when I get older. And when I started watching the X-Men movies, the live action ones, I didn't feel disappointed. When I started watching X-Men Evolution, when I started watching X-Men, the animated series, X-Men 97, I really knew and felt like these characters are absolutely amazing. And I honestly love the X-Men characters more than I love the Avengers characters. And I'm sorry to say it, but I really do. Because honestly, the X-Men characters, they have more of this idea where they actually reflect real life. I mean, of course, the Avengers comics and other different superhero comics, they'll address the modern day situations too. But this really felt like, with the X-Men comics, they really feel like a representation of the society that we live in and the issues that we have to tackle every single day. And with Deadpool and Wolverine, it made me feel more like if these characters had a more realistic side to them when it came to their characters, when it came to their character development. And that's what I really, really liked about Deadpool and Wolverine. Again, not a fan of the blood, not a fan of the violence, not a fan of the inappropriate references or the swearing, but this movie was great. It was great. I would not recommend this for younger kids though, so please just take that idea out of your head. This is more of an adult. This is an adult movie, okay? That's why it was rated R for a reason. Don't take your kids under 18 to see this movie. Heck, don't even take your kids under 21 to see this realistically. But that's just my own opinion about it. I mean, I know that parents are going to do whatever they want, which is a real shame. But I mean, you want to preserve your kid's childhood for as long as you can. I mean, I don't want to be that type of person and being conservative about it, but to me, I do feel like if it's rated R, it's rated R for a reason. If it's rated G, it's rated G for a reason. If it's rated PG-13 or rated PG, it's those ratings for a reason. And I mean, sometimes the rating will get it wrong, but I mean, it's crazy to think. But yeah, this movie was incredibly fun. It felt like a comic book movie, and I definitely want to say this was the Spider-Man No Way Home of the X-Men and Deadpool movies. This was amazing beyond anything. And it felt like a good, coherent plot that you could stick by and really talk about. There's a lot of scenes in this one that it will get you talking for a while, just like how other scenes in other MCU movies and other MCU shows will get you talking for a while, even after a long, long time. So that's what I feel like with Deadpool and Wolverine it's going to be. And by the way, I did see the trailer for Captain America Brave New World that before Deadpool and Wolverine. They actually did take out the scene where Isaiah Bradley shot at President Ross. So they did take it out, and they did replace it with more of a chase between the Secret Service members and Sam. So there is a little bit of a chase sequence in there that replaces it. But other than that, it's not that much of a big major difference in the trailer, which of course I understand why they did it in terms of what happened earlier this month, which I don't want to get into politics and I don't really want to get into stuff like that. But anyways, they did change the part of the trailer. So if you do go and see Deadpool and Wolverine, and if you have already seen the Captain America Brave New World trailer on YouTube, it's not going to be the same one. It's going to be completely different. So I'm just going to let you know on that behalf. But thank you guys so much for, without further ado, thank you guys so much for watching my non-spoiler review for Marvel Studios' Deadpool and Wolverine. I hope you guys can be able to go and see this movie if you are an X-Men fan, if you're a Deadpool fan, and if you are a Marvel comic book fan. And if you feel like if the MCU is dying, don't worry. This will pick it right back up. And I'm hoping that when we get Marvel Studios' Captain America Brave New World, the Thunderbolts, with Daredevil Born Again, with all these other different upcoming projects that are going on, I hope that this will jumpstart the MCU to the fans' likening. But anyways, thank you guys again so much for watching. If you guys want to subscribe to the channel, if you guys want to see more videos like this, and if you guys are wanting to see more upcoming videos like this, then please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If you guys want to follow me on any of my social media, I have Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, aka X, my Discord and my Discord servers, and my TikTok accounts, which all the links will be in the description below. Without further ado, guys, thank you guys so much again for watching. God bless you all. Stay safe, and I will see you all in the next videos. Bye, guys.